Well, we'll wait for Chris to come back and apologize, and we'll go to Bobby Manning, coach.
Hey, Ime. How did Robert Williams respond to the minutes last night? And yeah, I know you kind of mentioned before that he's going to be day to day, probably for the length of the postseason here. Just what are you kind of expecting out of him going forward, just given the swelling and other things he's dealt with, and just sort of what's the expectation out of that going forward?
Well, he coped with it well in the game last night. You never know until the next day or two. A lot of times it's the second day, which is obviously game day, where he has some of the pain. But he only played 18 and a half, but he played 19 in game 2. So we truly don't know until today, until he lets us know how he feels. Tomorrow as well, with swelling and pain. It's literally day to day, like I said. And so hopeful for the best, but never know how his body responds to it.
We'll try to reboot with Chris Ryan again. Chris, go right ahead.
Hey, Coach, sorry about that. Just the things that you've learned about this team throughout the postseason that maybe are new to you, or kind of reinforce some of the things throughout the course of the regular season. What stood out to you about particularly the team's character?
Well, there's a lot of similarities, honestly. We're a resilient group that has bounced back and played well since the second half of the season. I think in general, our fight is always there. Not a lot of games throughout this year that we really got blown out or, didn't give ourselves a chance in the game. And so you've seen that at times this series specifically, even in the playoffs, where we get down with the deficit and we're always going to fight back. And so that's been for most of the season. We knew that about our guys, a very prideful group that understands an opportunity that's in front of us. And so whether we have a poor start or a poor quarter, we always give ourselves a fighting chance to get back into it. And so that's had a lot of carryover since the regular season.
Tim Reynolds.
Good morning, Ime. I'm sure there have been elements of this series that you've really enjoyed and elements that haven't been so enjoyable, obviously. But when you look at it broadly, has anything getting to this point really surprised you in that you have a bunch of really tough guys? Miami has a bunch of really tough guys. It's kind of been a back and forth, kind of a puncher series. Should we be at all surprised this is the way it's playing out?
Well, I wouldn't say from a competitive standpoint. The two teams that have some continuity. I've tried to set somewhat of an environment, atmosphere, culture here, and we know Miami has that already. And two, when we look at the seeding, it's 1 and 2 on the season. So two teams that have played extremely well, at a certain time in the season. So it's a little bit odd the way the numbers happen with the blowouts, back and forth. But the fact that even with those blowouts, both teams continue to fight, continue to give themselves a chance to get back in the game. And you've had some close games, albeit some big leads in the series so far. It's not surprising, but two teams that are, always going to fight and not really beat themselves, give themselves a chance. Obviously, I know Miami and Spo for a while now, and that's the epitome of who they are, toughness, and both teams have matched that energy coming off of losses. And now, it's our turn to react better to a win, but we look for a hard-fought series, and we knew that coming into it.
Gary Washburn.
Hey, can you do anything differently mentally to prepare the guys for this game after a win? Obviously, you guys have shown the ability to respond to losses. You guys won the last 2, obviously, against the Bucks. Would you do anything differently in mental preparation for this one? And Jason kind of referred to it as looking at it, Game 5 as a must-win. How do you approach that?
Yeah, we talk about it all the time, responding to wins, not just the losses. And, we were disappointed in Game 3, the way we came out, with the chance to do something special back at home. And so far in the series, it's been the team that's down, has responded well and bounced back. Well, we kind of have to buck that trend, obviously, with 2 games left at their place possibly. And so we want to come out and establish ourselves regardless of the situation we're in. You mentioned the Milwaukee series, winning 2 in a row, and even, going on the road and winning in Milwaukee, which we've done already in Miami. So for us, it's consistency is the thing we're all looking for. And we talked about it. And not getting caught off guard when they up their aggressiveness and physicality the way we did yesterday and the way they did going into game 3. And so for us, consistency, coming out playing the same regardless of the situation and not waiting to get down to rally back or be behind in the series.
Abby Chin.
Ime, last series you mentioned how much you were enjoying the chess match between you and Bud. What has it been like to go back and forth with Spo, someone who you've known for so long? And then just how instrumental has Joe Mazzulla been in the game plans and the scout for this series?
Yeah, Spo is a coach that you have to, be prepared for a lot of different things. The first part is the physicality, toughness, well-coached team that's not going to beat themselves. And so you kind of have to go out there and try to take it, more so than hope they're going to make mistakes. And so you want to be aggressive on both sides of the ball. And he prepares his team extremely well for that. That's what he's built over all these years in Miami. And so that's the first piece. But at the same time, he'll do a lot of stuff, throw a lot of zones out there, presses, different things to try to get you off kilter. And you have to prepare for those things. So it's a good back and forth. They're a versatile team defensively. That could do some different things. And you have to be prepared for a bunch of different coverages. Regarding Joe, he's been great. Everybody has, all the coaches have their scouts. Will Hardy had Brooklyn, Ben Sullivan had Milwaukee, and Joe has Miami now. And so for all of our guys, we really try to give them a team or 2 or 3 of the main teams that they can really zero in and focus on. And he's been great as far as this series as well as the rest of the year. I lean on my staff a lot to give different ideas. Everybody kind of sees the game a certain way in different perspective. And so we all debate and discuss, but lean on him for the majority of the scout, being that Miami's his team. So you can see how engaged he is in the series. I think I encourage that from all our coaches, and I was encouraged to do the same as a younger coach to, step in and be vocal and have no problem with anybody speaking up and being out on the court and whatever has to be done. And so Joe is very enthusiastic guy. Obviously, the guys here know him. He's been here for some years and, is a great young up and coming coach, but he's been huge for this preparation, just as the others have for the 2 other series. But it's very noticeable because, like I said, he's a very energetic, outgoing guy.
Final question for you, Coach, from Adam Himmelsbach.
Anyway, you mentioned how some of the games in this series have been pretty lopsided, kind of going back and forth. That's really been like a theme of these playoffs, just around the league. What, from kind of watching it, has it, is there anything you can attribute that to? Because it's not like it's like one team sweeping one. It's one team blowing out another, and then the other team goes and blows it out in the next one. And what surprised you about kind of how that's unfolded?
I would say a big part of it is the scoring nowadays. Teams going crazy runs. Defense, depending on the team, is more of a luxury at times. It's not always the premium with every team. And so a lot of times there are these shootouts and they can, get ugly pretty quickly. But with that being the NBA, long games, guys know they have a chance to get back in. And so you've seen a lot of those so far. We try to pride ourselves on, being consistent on the defensive end, which always gives us a chance. But like I said, we've even had these bad quarters in this series where the lead is stretched and then we fought our way back into it. But I would attribute it to that, I guess more so the 3-point shooting, the streaks that people go on, and kind of the progression of the game offensively for why you're seeing some of these big leads and these big blowouts.
Thank you very much, Coach. Safe travels. We'll wrap it up right there.
Thank you.